Hello guys and welcome back to the With a Minute to Go podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you do enjoy, and turn notifications on so you do not miss a thing. You can also find us on Spotify by typing in With a Minute to Go podcast, or you can access the link via our social medias on Instagram and Twitter at WAMTGpod. So we've got another interesting topic for you guys today. But before we do get into things, as ever, we're joined by Matt. And this week's guest is Tom from FPL Apprentices. I actually featured yesterday on their podcast. Make sure to go and check that out. It was a decent episode. I think we all enjoyed it. So yeah, you're our second guest. It's nice to have you on, mate. And I know you've been looking forward to this for a while.
Yeah. It's nice to get on. Been enjoying listening to you two do your pod. So yeah, it's good to get on, and it's a good topic today. Looking forward to it.
Definitely, same. So quickly, just a couple of things I wanted to touch on before we do start. So Matt, a couple of weeks ago, we had Sam on and we were discussing possible managers that could have been sacked had fans been in the ground. So we talked about Mourinho or Arteta, they were the main two, but also Chris Wilder's name cropped up. And that was quickly shut down by yourself and Sam. And today we have the news that I'm not sure if it was a sacking or a disagreement on Wilder's part, but anyway, he's left Sheffield United, and I just wanted to get your view on what happened there and if it was maybe the correct decision in the end.
Well, to be honest, I'm still pretty shocked. Must stand by what I said a couple of weeks ago in terms of would be surprised if that was going to happen. I don't know if it was a sacking or whether it was, I've read it was a disagreement between him and the board or him and the club, and whether they've just decided to part companies, whether he's decided that actually he's had enough, or whether he just didn't want the relegation on his CV. I'm not sure, but I think Sheffield United fans will probably be disappointed. I think, it's looking like they are going to go down now. I'm not sure there's much hope for them, but I can't see a better man than him to get them back up again next year, or however long it takes. We spoke last week about the Championship, and we looked at clubs like Norwich and Watford, who come down last year and are coming back up. Norwich stayed with the same manager and have had a lot of success. And you look at someone like Chris Wilder, who's done it at Northampton, done it at Oxford, and now at Sheffield United, and got them from the League One into the Premier League. And I think, he would certainly be the best man for the job. So I can't believe it's a sacking because of the position they are in the league, because I think that would have happened a long time ago. If it was trying to save them from relegation, things have gone too far now. So obviously, I'm reading that maybe disagreement, and I say I'm quite sad, to be honest. I like his style of football. It's something completely different. Last year they brought something very different to the Premier League. As a manager and as a person, listening to his press conferences or interviews after the game, he's very refreshing, very honest. Probably got that British sort of side of him where, just straight to the point. And it's a shame that he's gone. And like I said, Sheffield United are going to probably be a Championship side next year. And, I think they'll find things tougher for not having Chris Wilder.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, even though a couple of weeks back I was pushing the case that maybe he should have been sacked. I was very surprised to see that this morning. For all he's done for Sheffield United, got them up to back where they maybe should be. So yeah, obviously disappointing with the relegation looming this year, but overall a strange one there from Sheffield United. Now the second thing I just wanted to quickly touch on, obviously we can all see me and Matt have got our Arsenal shirts on. Tottenham is being supported by Tom this week. So North London derby this weekend. Me and Matt are Arsenal. Tom, you're Spurs. I wanted to know what we thought about this weekend's game. So what are your score predictions? We'll start with Tom.
I think I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs. I'm pretty confident. Good win last night in the Europa League. Kane on form. So yeah, confident for the weekend.
Fair enough. I mean, to be honest, I can't really argue with that. Even though I am going to say a different prediction just because I'm an Arsenal fan. So I'll go second. I came on your pod yesterday and I did say 2-1 to Arsenal. So I'm going to stand by that. I think it's a bit optimistic, but you never know. It's the North London derby, isn't it? Anything can happen. So Matt, what's yours, mate?
Well, I'll be honest. I think the best thing for me is confident Spurs fans. I think when Spurs are confident, it goes wrong. So I'm going to You know, I haven't got much confidence in Arsenal, especially at the minute. You know, we refer to the game last night where, you know, it's happened in many games in total control, and then managed to give away chances. We're giving away a lot of goals. If you're going to do that against Spurs and give them chances, they're going to punish you massively. So that'll be a massive, you know, that'll be a massive thing for the game on Sunday. I'm going to go with Arsenal. I'm going to say I don't think Arsenal will stop Spurs scoring. So I'm going to probably go similar to Alf and say 2-1. I think it will be tight, but there will be goals. Both teams are better going forward than they are defensively, that's for sure. So I think there'd be goals. Like I said, I think when I speak to Spurs fans in the past and they're maybe not so confident, they generally beat Arsenal, especially in recent times. So the fact that they're confident they've hit a bit of form, it might be the right time to pick up those 3 points that we need.
Well, I really do hope you're right. I mean, I'm looking at their team at the moment. Obviously, you've got Bale coming into form. Kane is just, well, he's just ridiculous, isn't he? He's probably one of the best strikers, if not the best in the world. And I really do hate saying that, but I think it's the truth at the moment. So, yeah, it will be an interesting game. Hopefully, Aubameyang and Lacazette, Saka will chip in maybe with a goal or whatever. So, yeah, 2-1. Nice to see that. So, Matt, for this week's episode, you initially sent me this idea. It all stems basically from a tweet back in 2018 from Romelu Lukaku. At the time, he was obviously playing at Man United. And in simple terms, he said the Premier League should copy the NBA concept of having an All-Stars match. So for the Premier League, this would mean the North versus the South. And that's exactly what we'll be looking at today. So between us, we'll be putting together our best 11s from the North and the South. But in order to avoid, for example, a full team of Man City and Liverpool players from the North, the only rule we do have in is there will be a maximum of 3 players from the same club. So hopefully this will increase variety a little bit. I've seen a couple of you guys, your teams. Matt, you found it difficult, especially. I think I've thrown a few red herrings in there as well. So it will be interesting to debate that and ultimately see who gets in. So quickly, I'll just explain the way we're going to do it. So the team selection will be based off of current form and basically how they've played in the last 1 to 2 seasons, basically. So the way we'll decide the players is quite simple. So we each have 1 nomination for each position. So, for example, from the North, for the goalkeeper, I could have De Gea, Matt has Edison, Tom has Pope. And we all get a chance to put across our point of view, why our players should be included in the end 11, I guess. And then we come together to make an overall decision about who we think deserves to get in that team out of the 3 nominations. Again, we've got to be careful because there's a maximum of 3 players from the same club. So again, if someone says Edison, then you've got to think, well, what about the other Man City players that could get in there with a maximum of 3? It's going to be a difficult one. Should be interesting. But quickly, before we do get into it, just a side note, we'll be including all the Midlands clubs and Leicester as Northern clubs. I know this is maybe slightly controversial, but I spoke to a reliable source in George. He's a Birmingham fan. He basically said all the Midlands clubs, so that's West Brom, Wolves, Villa, and Leicester as well, should be included as a Northern club. And I would have gone with that anyway. I think we all would have gone with that. So that's fair enough. So I reckon we'll get straight into it. We'll start with the North. We'll go from goalkeepers. Tom, fire away with your Northern goalkeeper.
I think when you asked him to do this guy was pretty obvious. Martinez, what a signing he's been for Villa. He's come to that team and kept 13 clean sheets, and he saved Villa so much times. Last year they were I think 1 position away from relegation. They're now in a European battle, and I think he's been by far their best player of the season. And he's made some very important saves. You see in some games like Brighton when the whole team are playing awful against them, and he made some insane saves and kept them got a point there. And I think he's just been class this year and has to be in the team.
No, I think that's a fair one, mate. Frustrating for us looking at it as an Arsenal fan because he's had a decent year. But yeah, good nomination there. Matt, who's yours? Being the goalkeeper expert, I'm hoping you have a good case for this one.
To be honest, I've gone with exactly the same as Tom. Looking at the goalkeepers, obviously I wanted to go a little bit more in depth. We could mention, like you said before, Edison or Alisson. Alisson probably has, in terms of form, probably not the form that we sort of have expected from him. One I did also think of, I don't know what you two think of it, was Cardalo at Newcastle, because I think he's been absolutely superb this year for them. You know, their league position, you know, obviously struggling at the minute. I think in the last couple of weeks they've actually brought Dubravka back in, which I think was a little bit harsh on Cardalo, because I think he was absolutely superb. I think he made at one stage, you know, he made the most saves in the league, and looked really good. So he was someone who was sort of in my thoughts. Again, you can't look past those that have sort of been there and done it. Kasper Schmeichel, and obviously De Gea is another one to have a look at. But again, at the minute, maybe not going through the best of form. Obviously, currently not playing, and Dean Henderson is playing. But yeah, for me, after looking at all those, Martinez again was the same. We agree with what Tom said. He's massively improved Villa. You know, his interview he did before the recent Arsenal game, where he said that he wasn't not told he was number one at Arsenal, and he probably believed he would start the first game against Fulham of the season, but he wanted more than that. And to be fair to him, fair play, you know, lots of admiration. He was superb for Arsenal at the end of last year, but he wanted that guarantee of football and first team football. And to be fair, he went to Villa, who've got Tom Heaton, and when they signed Tom Heaton, I know he's had a lot of injuries, but he was signed there as number one. And I think we got to remember actually a couple of years ago when he was at Burnley, and we kind of forget about that because of how well Nick Pope's doing. Tom Heaton was a superb goalkeeper for Burnley, got the move to Villa, was in the team, got injured, and obviously Villa played around with goalies. And I say they had Pepe Reina, they had Nyland again last year, but they've gone out. You know, and fair play to Dean Smith. I'm sure we'll talk about a few other Villa players in this 11, but he's 20 million, looking at a bit of a bargain now, and a massive component of Villa and their improvements this year.
Well, already we've got an overwhelmingly strong case for Martinez, so I'm going to have to do well here to persuade you guys. I've gone with someone maybe slightly under the radar, I think, this year. Originally I did say Nick Pope, but I did change that this morning. So it was between Pope and Johnston, really, Sam Johnston from West Brom. I think this year has been absolutely superb. Obviously, conceding goals comes with the territory of playing for West Brom with the situation they're in this year. But even so, he's been very impressive between the sticks. I think on numerous occasions he's actually saved them from embarrassment, to be honest. So yeah, for me, you know, he's a Premier League standard goalkeeper, and if they do get relegated next year, West Brom, I'd think that maybe one of the lower half teams would snap him up and get him in, because from what I've seen, very solid, and that's overall why I want to have him in. So yeah, well, I think this is a bit of a difficult one now because we've got 2-1 in terms of Martinez. So I'm assuming you boys are sticking with that.
Yep.
Yeah. I think so. I think just on a note on Johnson, I think he has done really well this year. And I think there was probably question marks at the beginning of the season. He did well for West Brom last year, but could he do it again, make the step up? And he has. And like you said, playing in that sort of team, you're going to be busy. You know, you're going to ship goals, and there's been a lot of games, you know, especially even in the recent times when Sam Allardyce first took over. I think it was 5 against Leeds. I think 3 against Arsenal. Was it 5 against Man City? He's conceded a lot of goals, but on the other hand, you know, shot stopping, all right, is an attribute that all goalkeepers must have. But he's made some, you know, really, really good saves. But yeah, I think Martinez has got to take it, and Alf.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I'll go with Martinez on this one. I don't think I've got any room for persuasion there. So yeah, Martinez in as the Northern goalkeeper. I think that was fairly straightforward, especially as we've seen the 2-1 straight away. So we'll move on to the right back. And Matt, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, sticking with Villa. So I've gone with Matty Cash. His first season in the Prem. I'll be honest, I saw him a few times at Forest, but nothing really. I actually don't, you know, I might be wrong. I'm not sure he is always been an out-and-out right back. But obviously he's been playing there for Villa. Played there for Forest at the end as well. And again, has really, really impressed me. Someone they obviously signed in the summer. I wasn't really sure about whether he was up to Premier League level, but has been superb, really good on the ball. Again, another shrewd signing by Dean Smith to really improve the team. Tom mentioned it. They stayed up on the last day last year, and you can look back at VAR decisions and luck that kept him in the league. But they haven't rested on that. They've gone out and bought good players, strengthened in the areas they needed to, and we're seeing the fruits of that, and with their performances and their league position this year.
No, I think you got a strong case there, Matty Cash. I've been very impressed with him. But I'll quickly jump in there with my one. Someone who I think has just edged it over Matty Cash, and obviously they've both been injured recently. I think he's just coming back into the side, and Justin is currently injured, I think for a while. But yeah, James Justin for me from Leicester, he's had a cracking season, and last year as well. Obviously filling in for Ricardo Pereira after that pretty bad injury that he's picked up, and he's actually only just sort of come back into the side the last couple of months. I love watching him play. I think he fits right into Leicester. I think he epitomises what they're really about. Attacking-wise and defensively, absolutely superb, and I can't really fault him. Again, like I've said, he slotted in that role that Ricardo Pereira left vacant, and it didn't really look like anyone had sort of come and gone there. He really did well. So he's impressed me, and that's why he's my nomination. So, Tom, I'll let you finish off yours.
Again, I've started with the Villa as well, like Matt. So I've got Matty Cash as well. I think one of the main reasons why is we've seen how much since he's been injured with Al Mohammadi coming in. Like they've struggled a lot without him there, and when he's been playing, they've been so solid defensively. Like no one's been able to get past him. And like I said before, 13 clean sheets, which is just insane for a team that should have been down last year. So yeah, I think he's been playing really well, and yeah, the difference you can see without him in the team, it's just insane. So yeah, I think, like you said, what a signing from him in Villa this year. With their signings, have done really well. So a lot of credit there to Villa.
Yeah, again, Matty Cash. I think at Notts Forest, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he also played sort of higher up the pitch, sort of a right wing, right mid sort of position. So he's come into Villa and he's really impressed me. Again, it's 2-1 on Matty Cash to James Justin. So I think I've got to start putting my foot down. But we'll go with.
I'll give you another one.
Go
on. I've got another one, but I mean, the reason I didn't put him in my team was because of who he plays for, and that's Cancelo.
Okay.
Because I think when he first signed at Man City, he signed for big money, and everyone's looking at him saying, "Oh, I'm not sure about him." But I know, Alf, we've spoken about him before. Unbelievable this year. Really, really top player. I know he can play. He's played left back as well, I think, a few times. But, I think he's a superb player on the ball. The way Man City play, he finds himself high. He finds himself in central areas as well. And because he's so good on the ball, there's no problem. If I compare him to someone like Hector Bellerin, for example, and he's being asked to do the same sort of things, and wow, there's chalk and cheese there, because, Hector Bellerin gets in similar positions but hasn't got the quality on the ball to do it. And I think, all right, Man City are probably going to have better players than majority of the teams in the league, but to play that style, you need a right back or a full back who's confident on the ball and the quality on the ball. And I think, he is someone who's certainly, if we look at form from last year to this year, there's been a massive change.
Yep, I think Cancelo is another strong case. We've got quite a few decent ones there. I think it's going to be difficult. The only reason I wouldn't say Cancelo, I can't fault him this year. I think he's been one of the best right backs in the league. But again, it's the maximum 3 players from the same club rule, which would sway me away from that. I'm looking at further down the line, people like Diaz, people like De Bruyne, and maybe one other. So again, that's why I'm not going to go with him. I'd like to say James Justin, but I don't think he's gonna wing it with you guys, especially as you say Cancelo, and both of you agreed on Matty Cash. So I think Tom, you'll stick with Cash. I think overall, Matt, you'll stick with him.
I'm up for change if you want to.
Oh, really? Right.
I'll throw that out there. Yeah.
Throwing a spanner in the works here. That's a difficult one. God, Tom, what are you saying then at the moment?
To be honest, I've been really impressed with Justin as well. So I'm happy to have him in there right back. He's been one of the players that has impressed me so much. So if we want to switch, I'm happy to have him in there. He was a big consideration for me. Right back.
Okay. So now we've got 2 Justin. I think we've both agreed. James Justin is going to get in that team then. Obviously, Cancelo and Matty Cash both had fantastic seasons. yeah, James Justin is going to get in the team. So goalkeeper Martinez, James Justin in at right back. So we move on to the two centre backs. I'm going to go first with this. I think it's a fairly obvious choice for me in terms of, well, Man City, they're right at the top. It's got to be Diaz. He just has to get in there. I think for me, he's the best centre-back in the league this year. Obviously, Van Dijk with that bad injury at the start of the year. But even then, I think he probably comes onto the same level as Van Dijk, you know, what he did last year with Liverpool. I think he's really filled that Vincent Kompany role. Obviously, he left at the end of 2018-19 and left quite a big hole, I think it's fair to say, in Man City. And that's maybe another reason why Liverpool was so dominant last year, is because they didn't have that real presence at the back, Man City, and they really lacked that. So, yeah, for me, Ruben Dias got to get in there. You know, the best centre back in the league. I think for him not to be in there would be, you know, a bit of just completely wrong. It'd be completely wrong for me. It's a no-brainer. He has to be in there. But yeah, who should we go with? We'll go with Tom.
Yeah, Dias as well. What a signing he's been, and you know, I've been so impressed with him this year. And having someone like Dias in defence, it just gives City the freedom to just bomb forward. We've seen Cancelo like been able to have the freedom to move into midfield, or Zinchenko when he hasn't been playing, and that's thanks to players like Dias that just makes that defence so solid. And obviously he's built that great partnership with Stones as well. So yeah, for me, Dias has to be in there, definitely.
Yep, Matt, I'm not sure who you've gone with, but hopefully you'll be agreeing with us.
It's a clean sweep, 3 out of 3.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you both made enough good points, but you know, if we look at Man City last season compared to this year, they were desperate for that quality at centre half, and that's probably where they got pipped, and they weren't as good as Liverpool. Again, what a good club. I know they got the financial resources, but good club, good manager. They went and found the best they could. I think maybe it took a little while to get up to speed, and that probably was seen in some of Man City's early results. But you know, he's found his feet. The partnership with Stones, wow, what a partnership that is now. And you know, obviously the winning run, which obviously came to an end last weekend. But yeah, best centre back in the league currently, so deserves to be in there.
Yep, I don't think anyone can argue with you there, mate. I don't think anyone would either. I think if you get another 10 people on the pod, we'd all have Diaz in our team. So second centre back, Tom, I'll let you go first on this one.
All right, so this one I'm not sure if you two will agree, because obviously it takes up another City player, but I've put Stones in there just because he's turned it around so much. Like, I could never imagine myself saying that he could be in our Euro team this year. Like, I thought his career was over. I thought, why is he staying at City? He's not going to play. And well, like, he's turned it around with Diaz there. They built that great partnership, and they've kept, like, I can't remember the amount of clean sheets, but it's something insane. Before they've scored more between them than they have conceded or something when they've been playing, which is just incredible. And like I was saying, they've just turned that City defence around, and that's part of the reason why City are so far ahead at the top.
I think you make a great point there, mate, because actually, before lockdown, you see people like Otamendi was getting in ahead of Stones regularly, and you know, towards the start of Guardiola's time there, Stones did get a look in, but then he wasn't really taking full advantage of that opportunity. So it is a great turnaround, and again, it'd be nice to see him in that England Euro side. Matt, be interesting to see if you've got someone different.
I have got someone different, but yeah, I think what a turnaround for John Stones. I think there was a few off the field potential issues that were maybe in the media that have possibly been part of the reason why he was out of favour, or when he did get his chance, not taking him, because you know, I can remember quite a few different errors that he made when he did actually play, and then there's a long time where you know, he just wasn't getting a look in. But you know, he's been superb this year, and Tom's right in saying, for me, he goes to the Euros, but also starts in the Euros for England. But I've gone little left field. I've gone for Wesley Fofana at Leicester. Signed from St Etienne in the summer, or in October, but at the end of the window. 36 mil, so they spent good money on him. For me, he's been a rock at the back for Leicester, been really good. When he's played, obviously, I think he's only played 14 games. I think he's gone under the radar a little bit. I think St Etienne, they had him, and they also had William Saliba, who obviously Arsenal signed and then has loaned out and hasn't really worked for him. But obviously that's the partnership that they both had. And we're looking at it now. Maybe Arsenal didn't get the right one, because we're seeing Fofana's come in and played. All right, Saliba probably hasn't got his chance in the Premier League, but Fofana's come in and played and done really well. When he's played. So for me, a little bit different. I've gone for Fofana.
Well, I think he's another great example of Leicester's really excellent recruitment the last few years. You look at people, the obvious ones, your Mahrez, your Vardys, but it happens right the way through, and it's still happening. And we've seen it with Fofana this year. Obviously, Arsenal bought his centre-back partner the year before, Saliba, and that hasn't worked out for whatever reason. But Fofana, yeah, really impressive. I mean, I think he's only just come back from an injury. That's why he's only played 14 games this year. But yeah, I think he's got a really solid case there. And I've gone with Tyron Mings from Aston Villa. Real presence at the back for them. I can remember, especially obviously because I'm an Arsenal fan, I watched the Arsenal games. The one a few weeks ago when we lost 1-0 away at Villa, he was fantastic. Body on the line, some great blocks, great tackles. And also on that left side of defence, I think it's crucial to have a left-footed player. I think that's very much overlooked, certainly at most clubs in the Premier League. So I think there's also a case for him maybe going to the Euros this year. He's been fantastic, and alongside someone like John Stones, could form a really solid partnership for England. So that's why I've gone with Mings. I think this will be pretty interesting. Obviously, we've got 3 different players. I'll come back to Tom quickly. Are you still sticking with who you've gone with, or are you prepared to sway, or what's your mindset at the moment?
I'd say I like both your picks. The only problem with Fofana is it takes up a second Leicester spot. And as we'll see later when we go on, I don't know if I want that second Leicester spot taken up. Yeah. I think for me, just because of that, it's between Mings or Stones. So I mean, obviously Stones takes up the second City spot as well. So down to you two what you two think, but I'm happy with either two. Those two.
Again, it takes up a second City spot where I'd maybe have, Gundogan, De Bruyne, or something like that in that spot. So I'm not sure what you're saying, Matt, but I'm quite happy to stick with Mings.
Well, if you're thinking tactically, if we're talking about building a complete team, a left-footed centre back playing on the left-hand side is first of all what you want. So if we're looking at it in that way, then Mings certainly gets in. I think it's also just want to say on Mings, it's unbelievable career he's had. He was playing part-time football. He was a mortgage advisor. And all of a sudden, he signs at Ipswich. He does well at Ipswich. He gets his move. He ends up, I think, did Bournemouth pay 20 mil for him, possibly, playing at Bournemouth. And then now obviously got the move to Villa, where he obviously got promotion and doing well at Villa. So, look, I'm happy to go with Mings. I think he's a possibility for the Euros if Southgate looks on the fact that, he wants a left-sided centre-half, because I'm not sure how many other left-footed centre-halves that he has the option of. Thinking of Stones is right-footed, and Maguire as a right-footed centre-half as well. So, yeah, I'm happy to go with Mings. And like you said, it allows us to free positions elsewhere.
Yeah, just quickly, I think you're absolutely spot on. I mean, his career has been quite a ridiculous one. The only thing I can remember him doing significantly at Bournemouth was he stamped on Ibrahimovic's head, and that's it. And then he's come into Villa, obviously with the promoted side at the start of 1920. He's been fantastic. So full credit to him. I think he deserves his place in the team. So we'll go on to the left back now. Matt, we'll let you go first on this one.
Okay. For me, technically probably the best left back in the league, in my opinion. That's Luca Digne. I think, he's got a wand of a left foot, high quality, so technically very good, dead ball specialist. Maybe not the best 1v1 defender, but for me, he's the one, and it sort of then brings in an Everton player into the team.
Yep, Tom, be interesting to see what you think about that.
Yeah, I think I like Digne. I remember especially this season, I think it was the Fulham game where he got 2 assists, one for Calvert-Lewin, one for Decore, I think. So I think he's a good pick. However, I did go with someone different. So I went with Stuart Dallas. Now, I was switching between a couple, but I've really enjoyed watching him play. Obviously, he's played in midfield, he's played at right back and left back, and he's been Leeds as a team have been exciting, but he's been exciting himself. Obviously, they're not the best defensively. They have kept 8 clean sheets, but they are very open team. But Dallas has been chipping in with the goals. I think he has 5 this season, 3 assists. So yeah, he's been an exciting player, and I've really enjoyed watching him. But obviously not the best defensively, but yeah, I've enjoyed watching him a lot this season.
That's a really interesting one actually, because Leeds' defence this year has been, well, iffy to say the least. Like we said yesterday on your podcast, one day they'll score 5 goals, the next day they'll concede 5 goals. But Dallas, from obviously you come from an FPL perspective with your pod, he's been fantastic for you. I've seen he's got quite a few double-digit pointers this year. So yeah, definitely someone that wouldn't spring to mind straight away. But I like the thinking there. It's a bit outside of the box. I've gone with someone that you're probably going to dismiss straight away from Man City. He's not one of the bigger names, but for me, watching them when they did win the league in 2018-19, and again this year, that they've been superb. When Zinchenko is playing, they do tend to play well. I think he's hugely underrated. Solid going forward. I often confuse him with De Bruyne going forward, to be honest. And defensively, I can't really fault him. He's been fantastic next to the ever reliable John Stones and Diaz, with Edison behind them. So yeah, in my opinion, for City, he's better than Mendy, which is the big money signing for them. I think he's been more consistent, obviously less injury prone. I think that's the most obvious one. So that's why I've thrown him in there. Like I said, I don't think he'll make the eventual team, but I've gone with him anyway. Just be interesting to see what you boys think. Are you still sticking with what you said?
I think I'd say again with Zinchenko, he's been impressive, but I don't think I want him taking up a City spot. I think I like Matt's one, Digne. I think for me it'd be between Digne and Dallas, but I think I'm swaying towards Digne, if I'm being honest. It's been changed, but yeah.
Matt, I think we're going to go with Dean for this one. Luca Dean from Everton has been fantastic, to be honest, this year, and the last couple of years really. It was an interesting signing from Barcelona to Everton, but yeah, fair enough. He's been very good, and I think he deserves a spot in this team. So that is the back 5 done. We've got Martinez, James Justin, Ruben Diaz, Tyron Mings, and hang on, who did I just say? It was Luca Dean, of course, yeah. Right, so we'll move on to, I think we're going with a 4-3-3 here. So we've got 3 in midfield. I've gone probably slightly more attacking for the North. So I'll go with my first player. James Madison, for me this year, he's been fantastic. I think he really needs to go to the Euros in Southgate's squad. Again, there's a lot of positions, a lot of players for the same position, sorry. I think you look at Phil Foden, you look at obviously Madison, you look at Grealish. So there's a lot of contenders in there. I think obviously fantastic with the ball at his feet, dribbling wise, he can pick a pass, and he's got goals in his game. Also a real talent in terms of his character. I think that's something you need to appreciate, especially things like on social media, within that change room environment. I think he's very important to that Leicester team. So that's why I've gone with James Madison there. Be interested to see what you've gone with, Tom.
Madison as well. I think for me, he's got to be starting in that Euros team. I've been so impressed with him this year. You listen to some of his interviews where he's been saying like he's been working with Brendan Rodgers this season on scoring goals, and he's scored 7 and assisted 9, and he has been so good. And we've seen whilst he's been injured, obviously him and Barnes both out. Leicester have struggled so much without him, but yeah, I think he has to be in this team, and what seasons he's had, and hopefully he gets back from injury soon and can get flowing again for the Euros.
Yeah, Matt, who have you gone with, mate?
Well, first of all, I love James Madison. I think, and like I said, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, he's added goals to his game, which is what he needed to do to make him more of a complete midfielder. But I'm just going to blow him out the water, and I'm going to go with KDB. he can't not be in this team. He is the complete midfielder, the Rolls Royce. The game is effortless to him. Goals, assists, his passing range, his vision is on another level. It's incredible. I was lucky growing up watching Fabregas at the Emirates, and his passing and vision was incredible to watch. And not just thinking about goals or assists, but this De Bruyne then is the same, if not better. Just picking out passes, picking out the runners. It's going to be an attacking midfield, I know that for sure. But for me, he by far the best player in the Premier League.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think we can really argue with that one. De Bruyne is next level. So, Tom, if you're happy to go with De Bruyne, I don't think we can sort of have, we don't have any case there really. Matt's blown us out the water, like he said. So yeah, first midfielder is going to be KDB. All right, second midfielder. I think I'm going to move on to another one that will probably be. Hopefully, everyone will agree with me here. It's got to be Bruno from Man United. 16 goals, 10 assists in the league. I don't like to say it because obviously, as an Arsenal fan, the United-Arsenal rivalry. But what a player he is! He's the complete player if you ever had to see one. And he's really changed United's fortune since he came in, since January of last year. Completely invaluable to that team. Fantastic on the ball. All-round game is just superb. So, yeah, he's got to be in there for me. Bruno Fernandes from United. Matt, I'll let you go. Second.
Yeah, I've got the penalty merchant too in mind. No, he's not a penalty merchant. He's far from that. Alf, you're right. He's been superb for Man United. Gets them out of trouble. 23 goals from midfield, I think, this year, and probably, at least double figures assists. So, he is a superb player. I think when he doesn't play, you can definitely tell, that they're missing him. The only positive I can say about it is that he could have gone to Spurs and he went to United. So that's that was a good. I don't mind that transfer at all. But yeah, he's got to be another one who's got to be in.
Yep. No, definitely, Tom. I'm not sure what you're saying there, but I'm hoping you'll see sense and go with Bruno.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he has to be in there. And it's a shame he went to the wrong club, but he's doing it well for United. He has to be in there. Sure.
Yeah, full credit. Like I said, I don't like admitting it too much because of his penalties and everything, but he's added some ridiculous goals to his game, and numbers that you just can't really argue with them. So Bruno gets in as our second midfielder. I think this is shaping up to be a ridiculously good team. Right, third midfielder. Tom, I'll let you go first on this one.
I've gone for Gundogan. He's really impressing this year. I think especially when KDB was out injured, he really stepped up. He scored 12 goals in the Premier League this season as well. And from a player like Gundogan, I just didn't expect that. And he's taken me by surprise. I think Pep really likes him as well. And yeah, he's just so good in that midfield. He gets in the right positions, and he's just all over the pitch. And yeah, I've been extremely impressed with him and shocked. I wouldn't be thinking that he'd be here now, but yeah, definitely has to be Gundogan.
Yeah, Matt, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I've got Ilkay Gundogan as well. By far his best season for Man City. He was actually Guardiola's first signing when he joined Man City. He's been there for a while. 20 million euros, I think. So, I mean, it was quite, for me, it's a bargain. I remember watching him for Dortmund and thinking what a player he was then. And again, not really seen that sort of player for Man City. Done well, but not outstanding. But he's added goals to his game, which has probably, highlighted him more to everyone week in, week out because he's scoring goals as well. But again, he has... big goals as well. He got 2 at Anfield. I think he got 2 against Spurs. So, he's stepping up when actually De Bruyne has been out the team, and well documented that the centre forwards, maybe Aguero's obviously been out, Jesus in and out the side. So, I think a couple of games he played as a sort of a false 9 as well. I think about the last goal we scored against Spurs, where he's sort of the furthest ahead and he gets onto the long ball. Again, something that you wouldn't necessarily expect from him, but he's probably another one that's got to be in the team. But I think he probably takes us to our limit on Manchester City before we hit the front line.
I was just about to say that's 3 City players, so be interesting to see if anyone's players change now. Obviously, he's been a revelation this year. I've said he's got 11 goals, but I think he got his 12th during the week against Southampton. So yeah, I didn't expect that this year. He has been an absolute revelation for them, especially with their lack of out-and-out striker that we've already discussed on previous pods, Matt. So yeah, 12 goals for City this year has probably been another huge contributing factor as to why they're right at the top. So yeah, no doubts. That's our second clean sweep. Gundogan in as our third central midfielder, and yeah, 3 City players. So we've got the left wing, right wing, and striker left. So it'd be interesting if anyone's changes. Matt, I'll let you go first on the left winger.
My left winger is Jack Grealish. Arguably in form, the best player in the league before his injury, or one of the best players in the league. Scoring goals, creating goals. Villa are up the top of the league, and he's probably one of the main reasons behind that. They done well to keep hold of him in the summer, massively. Even though if they'd have gone down, no doubt he'd have gone. I think they signed him up on a new deal. I still feel they'd be lucky to keep hold of him in the summer. I'd imagine, one of the big 6, possibly. There's a lot of talk about Man United will come in for him again. I wouldn't be surprised, because I think he deserves. Well, he's good enough to be playing in Europe, certainly, and I think he'll get an opportunity to shine this summer and show what he can do on an international stage. And if he does, there'll be plenty of clubs sort of looking for him. So yeah, Grealish for me.
Yep, I've also gone with Grealish on the left wing. He's the most fouled player in the Premier League this year, and that tells a story. I think he's quite proud of that stat as well. Obviously, a goal scorer, assist maker, superb with the ball at his feet. One of the most creative players in the league, if not the most creative. He's just, an absolutely fantastic all-round footballer. Technically, by far, one of the best I've seen in a long, long time. So Grealish, yeah, definitely gets into my team. So we've got 2 for Grealish. Tom, it would be interesting to see if you can change our thought process and ultimately change Grealish.
Yeah, well, I think listening to you two, I don't think I'm going to be able to, and I understand he has been so good this year. But I've gone with Harvey Barnes. Now, another player that has really impressed me, and I think he stepped his game up this year as well. You see in the last couple of seasons, he's on the verge, but he's not scoring enough. He's not taking enough chances. But this season, he's got, I think, 9 goals, 5 assists, and I've been so impressed with him. And I want him in the Euro squad. I mean, I don't think he'll be able to start with the talent we have, but been so impressed, and he's been a big part in Leicester's position of the season. And again, with him getting his injury, which is such a shame. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But yeah, he's just been so impressive. And well, I don't think he'll get in our team, but yeah, definitely a good backup left wing.
Yeah, well, Harvey Barnes, another player that had the misfortune of being my scout player a couple of weeks back, and obviously he then went on and picked up an injury, because that's just what I do, isn't it? But Harvey Barnes, another one that for a while I think was actually overlooked, and the last few months from sort of November onwards especially, he's finally getting the recognition that he fully deserves, really. Again, if he does go to the Euros, I'll be very pleased. I think he does deserve it. Again, that real pool of talent we've got going forward. I can think off the top of my head, Grealish, Foden, Calvin, Barnes, Madison. The list goes on. So, yeah, Harvey Barnes. I think it's fair to say he's an honourable mention. But for me, he doesn't get in the team ahead of Jack Grealish. And if we do go with him, that would be our third Aston Villa player, which is interesting. It just shows how good Villa have been this year, that they've maxed out on their players in the north. So Matt, if you're happy to go with Grealish, then I think that's who we'll go with.
Yep, 100%.
Yep, definitely. All right, Grealish locked in at the left wing. So 2 positions left. We'll go with the right winger. I'll start first. So Leeds, Rafinha. What a player he's been this year. I think, again, another one we've discussed in previous podcasts. for the price that they paid for him. Compare that to someone like Nicolas Pepe, and you're getting an absolute bargain in Rafinha. I think he really epitomises Leeds attacking wise anyway this year. Going forward, dribbling, flair, all-round game is absolutely superb, and obviously he's got a wand of a left foot. I think he can be one of the best in the Premier League in years to come if he continues this form. I've been very impressed with him, and also the fact that he's been able to adapt so quickly to the league. I think that's one thing that a lot of pundits, a lot of fans think about when they do sign players from abroad, from the French league. I think he came from, and again, like we've seen in Pepe, who hasn't been able to adapt. It's been interesting to see that actually that rule doesn't apply for everyone. So yeah, Rafinha gets in there for me. Tom, we'll go with you. What do you think for the right wing?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Rafinha. What a player he's been to watch this year. Leeds as a whole again, but the work he does on the ball and off the ball as well. You see the players he takes away from that. So the likes of Bamford can get a shot away, and his delivery is insane. His pace, his agility, everything. He's just so good on the ball as well, dribbling past players. And like you said, his left foot is insane as well. And he scored a lot of goals. And I think in that Leeds side, he should have a lot more assists as well. He's put in, I can remember against Wolves, he put in about 5 crosses for Cooper, who headed most of them over. But yeah, very impressive this year. Like you said, definitely one for the future.
Well, that's what we said yesterday, actually. If they had maybe a more clinical striker, I mean, Bamford's, he's been all right, but maybe if they had someone better, he would have got more assists. So, Matt, who have you gone with the right wing? Have you gone the same or have you gone slightly different?
I haven't, and it's going to have to be good to obviously change you to. I've gone for someone whose team have not been doing well of late. A lot of people saying he's not doing well, but he's actually League's top scorer, and that's Mohamed Salah. And I'll be honest, doing my research for this, I was not actually aware that he was the League's top scorer, 17 goals. And I know that probably speaking to a lot of people, they'd say, oh, he's not done well this year. He's not had the impact that Liverpool would have wanted. And this is why Liverpool are struggling. And, look at him and Mane. And actually, they're both still contributing and scoring goals differently. Maybe you're looking at defensively and maybe in someone like Firmino, which hasn't had the desired effect. But yeah, so Salah for me, I think, again, the team's been struggling. He's still scoring goals. He has the quality to perform in a struggling team. Of late, maybe not got so many goals and had the impact that he wanted. And obviously Liverpool on this horrendous run at home. But again, I watched them in the week in the Champions League and they were very good. And Leipzig are a good side and they've swept them aside quite comfortably. So I think results will be around the corner for Liverpool. But Salah, 17. I know there's obviously a lot of competition for the Golden Boot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he took it again.
I think a real interesting one, Mohamed Salah, because actually he's maybe not getting the recognition that he might deserve this year. Obviously, Liverpool's 6 straight home defeats in a row probably overshadowing that at the moment. But between him and Rafinha, it's a really tough one. I think for me, it's the toughest one so far because obviously Rafinha's had such a great year and he's burst onto the scene at Leeds. But then again, if you're looking at Salah from 2017 to the present day, and he's still out in front leading the Golden Boot this year, I think it's hard to argue with Salah. I'm not sure what you're saying, Tom, but for me, I am prepared to put down Salah as maybe the only Liverpool player in this team.
Yeah, I did look at him when I was doing my my team, and again, like you, Matt. Shocked to see that he's top scorer. There's been so much talk about he hasn't been great this season, but he's got 17 goals. So yeah, I'm happy to put him down at right wing, I think.
Yep. Okay. Fair play to you, Matt, because we were pretty sold on Rafinha there, and you've swayed us to Salah. Good stuff. So last player on the team is the striker. Tom, we'll start with you for this one.
All right, a bit of a different one here, but I've gone with Colin Wilson. Now I personally really like Colin Wilson. I think before he got injured for Newcastle, I think he was involved in 75% of their goals. And if they stay up with the likes of obviously Cardalo, who's out of favour now, but they're the reason that they'll stay up. Wilson was scoring in big games. I think he scored 2 at Everton. He scored a few others at other games, but he's got 10 goals and 6 assists. What a season he's had. He's moved from Bournemouth, and he impressed me at Bournemouth. He's obviously moved to another relegation battle with Newcastle, and the sooner they get him back, the more chance they have of staying up. And if they do stay up, there'll be a lot to thank him for. And yeah, I just love watching him, and think he's been great. And he always works really hard, always chasing down every ball, and his finishing is pretty good as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Again, another one of your favourites from fantasy this year. I've seen you've got. I think he was the first player on your Wall of Fame or whatever you've got going on your podcast. Interesting one, because for me, Callum Wilson wouldn't spring to mind straight away, but actually, he hasn't had too bad of a season. But I suppose Newcastle, really struggling. That's probably, again, like Salah, the team is overshadowed the individual performer. So Matt, who have you gone with for your striker?
I've gone with Dominic Calvert-Lewin as my striker. Finally, I'd say Everton have found a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, an out-and-out centre-forward. We think they've had Czech Tosin, which they tried, Moise Keane, who obviously is now ripping it up for PSG, which is very bizarre. But I think I love Lukaku. I love Calvert-Lewin, because he just gives you a bit of everything. He can run in behind. He's got pace. He can hold up the ball. He's strong in the air. You've seen him score some great headers, but also very good on the ground. He scored 13 league goals. Okay, a lot of those were, I think, got 10 in the first 6 or 7 league games. He started the season really, really strong, as did Everton. But again, someone who, for me, if we're looking at the Euros, and that's obviously what he'll be thinking of, if it's Harry Kane's not going to play for whatever reason, injury or whatnot, I think Calvert-Lewin's one that will certainly be, knocking on the door to be his first sort of replacement. I think he's been really good this year. Although, speaking to a couple of people, they're sort of saying that maybe Everton fans aren't so keen on Calvert-Lewin as you'd expect, which was quite bizarre, because I think he's done really well. And I say, I think he gives you a little bit of everything, the modern day striker. If we look at strikers in the past, that they could probably either hold the ball up or they would run in behind. Maybe when we were looking more at a 2 up front in the 4-4-2 was more favourable formation, and you'd have a little and large striker. But now most teams playing with a 4-3-3 or a 3-prong attack with 2 wide players. Your centre forward has to be able to do everything. Has to be able to run in behind and hold the ball up. So for me, Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, I've gone with Calvert-Lewin as well, and really, there's not too much for me to say. I think you've summed it up brilliantly. He's the complete striker, and really, he has been that replacement that Everton have needed from Lukaku. And like you said, they've tried a few different players, and it just hasn't worked. So hold-up play, creativity, he's clinical in front of goal, all round just superb. And another one I hope does get a look in at the Euros this year for England. So Tom, I think we're going to have to go with Calvert-Lewin on this one on the 2-1 basis. So we'll lock him in as the last player for the North. So I'll quickly run you through that team. So in goal, Martinez. Right back, James Justin. Centre back, Diaz and Mings. Left back is Luca Dean. Central midfield, De Bruyne, Bruno and Gundogan. And then front three, left wing Grealish, right wing Salah, striker Calvert-Lewin. I think that's a formidable team. I think the South will do well to compete against that. So yeah, that's the North done. We'll move on to the Scout now. So we're halfway through. Hopefully this week I can't jinx too many more players. I was tempted, I've got to be honest, to put down someone like Harry Kane or Bale for this week, considering the Arsenal-Tottenham game. But I've gone with someone else. So we'll start with last week. I'll go first quickly. So Luke Shaw, for me, he's not often someone that I give praise to. So fair play to Luke Shaw. But, what a game he had this week. I watched that whole game and he's very influential for United, both attacking and defensively. Obviously, he got that eventual goal in the second half. And overall, his running into attacking positions was fantastic, and he really supported that front three that Ole had. So yeah, very impressive performance, certainly worthy of my nomination this week, Luke Shaw. So Tom, who is your player from last week?
Has to be Harry Kane for me. Brilliant performance. 2 goals, 2 assists, and it was the game where he broke Shearer and Sutton's record of the combined goals and assists with Son, and put it to 14 there, and he was just so good. His first goal he scored was lovely, brilliant goal, and it's been the same all season, assisting and scoring. So yeah, very impressed, and it was good to see Spurs winning, scoring a lot of goals again, full flow.
Well, not good for us. I'm not particularly pleased, but I suppose you can't argue with Kane for last week. So Matt, who have you gone with?
I've gone for Kai Havertz. Although he had a goal rightly taken off him in their win against Everton, I think he's starting to look like the player that we knew Chelsea had signed. Watching him at Leverkusen last year, really good, and played in more of a false nine role Monday night. Link-up play was really good. Probably wasn't Chelsea's best player on the night, but for me, it was nice just to see him getting close to his best. A fantastic player. Very jealous that Chelsea spent the money and signed him in the summer, because I think he is going to be, a really, really great player. So, but it's definitely a step in the right direction for him. And if they can really get him playing, Chelsea will have no issues with the top 4 this year, in my opinion.
Well, another interesting one, obviously came in under Lampard with Ziyech and Werner, and all 3 of them didn't really, set the world alight, I think it's fair to say, when they first joined Chelsea. But yeah, I don't think there's any doubting the talent he has. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kick on from there and really make an impact for Chelsea at the back end of the season and then go into the new season. So for this upcoming week, just a quick reference to last week's players. Obviously, again, I jinxed the player in Salah, and if you had a look at the Instagram story, you'll be able to see that. 6 straight home defeat for Liverpool. You've got to really wonder how long this can go on for before maybe Klopp, his job is in question. I think also my lack of reliability on these probably shows 2 things. Firstly, I don't know a great deal about football. And secondly, I think it proves the theory that the Premier League is probably the most exciting and unpredictable league in the world. Matt, excellent choice. Fair play. I'll hold my hands up. Dean Henderson. I wasn't too sure how he'd go against City, obviously with their record, their free scoring at the moment. But clean sheet, superb game in the Manchester derby. And obviously it's his first game in the league for a while. So good stuff and good selection for once. It's nice to see one of us does know a thing or two about the Premier League. So upcoming week, I'll tell you what, we'll go in reverse order. So Matt, you can go first on this one.
Yep, I've gone. I looked at the games, didn't want to go for necessarily a big team, so I've gone for James Ward-Prowse. The South Coast derby, Southampton, Brighton this weekend, a massive game for both teams. Brighton for sure. I think they're 17th in the minute, so they are massively fighting relegation, and also Southampton have really been on the slide, 1 win in their last 6, so an important game for them. Just to keep their heads sort of above water and away from that relegation battle. I fancy Southampton to win it. I think if they are going to win it, you're looking towards someone like Ward-Prowse to be that influential player. I think we all know how good he is with the dead ball, but also I think he's a little bit more than that, and he's got some quality. So yeah, I'm going to go for James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, again, he's actually someone that I did look at this week. Like you said, his ability with the dead ball is second to none. I think he's probably, for me anyway, the best dead ball specialist in the league. Free kicks, penalties, corners, he does a lot. So Tom, who is your player to look out for this week?
I've gone for Richarlison actually. Playing against a weak Burnley defence. We saw obviously lately Spurs and then Arsenal as well had a lot of chances which they probably should have taken. But I think lately Ancelotti's come out and said that Richarlison's going to be the main striker, as he doesn't want him doing defensive work. So Calvert-Lewin might have to drop off a bit, and we've seen him move out to the right a bit and Richarlison play through the middle. So I think his pace is just going to destroy Burnley, who've been open and have been attacking teams. And I think if they do that, Richarlison's going to have a field day at Burnley.
Yep. Again, another one that I praised for his performance away at Liverpool, obviously filling in for Calvert-Lewin, and he got that early goal, and for me it was fantastic. So a good choice this week. I think it'll be an interesting one to see Burnley in the half-5 against Everton. So I've gone with Andreas Christensen. It's the first time I've gone for a defender. I've been very impressed with him recently, obviously filling in for Thiago Silva. Been very solid since Tuchel came in. They've actually got 7 clean sheets out of the 9 games that he's been in charge for. Only conceded 2 goals in the Premier League since he came in. So it's another chance this week, I think, to get a clean sheet against an unreliable, unpredictable Leeds front line. Again, though, like we've said, Leeds can score 5 one week, concede 5 the next. So I think it's a bit pot luck this week for me with Christensen. And knowing my luck, it'll probably be 5-0 to Leeds. So for Chelsea. Right, we'll move on then to the South players. Same formation. We'll start with the goalkeeper. Matt, you can have the floor with this one. Like I said, goalkeeping expert, so hopefully you've got a good one for us.
I found this one really hard, I'll be honest, looking through the goalkeepers in the South. For me, starting on the South Coast, Sanchez and McCarthy, not for me. They're moving into sort of the London clubs. Gaeta at Palace. Looking at Fabianski at West Ham's done okay. Lloris has been okay, but not to his best. Leno has been hit and miss, good one week, poor the other. We saw him last night, not so great. So I've gone with Areola at Fulham. I wasn't really sure when they signed him, was he going to really improve them? But he certainly has. Defensively, they are much better. I'm not sure. I think nine clean sheets for a team down the bottom isn't bad. I think they've been unlucky in some recent games as well with some decisions that probably got them more points. But again, made a number of big saves. I watched some of the Liverpool game, and although he didn't have lots of saves to make, he was commanding in his decisions. And compared to the goalie they had before, I think it was Marek Rodak, who's a younger goalie come through the academy and had done well last year in the promotion season. But to bring him in on loan, experienced, has really, really helped him. Yeah,
for me, Areola, he's been fantastic this year. I can remember on a number of occasions he's made some close range stops. One that springs to mind would be one against Tottenham. They also got that 1-1 draw away at White Hart Lane. I think he's had a strange sort of string of transfers. I think he was at PSG and Real Madrid, now he's joined Fulham. So fair play to him, man. He's come in, and he's secured that number 1 spot, and he's been very impressive. So yeah, good shout there from you. Tom, who have you gone with?
I've actually gone with Areola as well. I think I was looking at goalies, and again, I was struggling, and I've been really impressed with him this year. Obviously, like you were saying, he's been at Real Madrid, PSG. He hasn't played loads there, and I thought as well at the start, a bit of a strange transfer coming to Fulham, but he's come in and he's completely made the defence solid. And it's not the reason they're down there isn't because of their defence, because they can't score goals. Not defensively, they're very good. Again, 9 clean sheets for a team in the relegation battle is really good. And yeah, he's just been very impressive. He's made a few important saves as well, and he just makes that back line solid.
Well, Fulham, they got that impressive win last week against Liverpool away. I think I can remember Areola made a fantastic save from a Jota volley quite early in the second half. So yeah, he's been very important to them, and obviously they're now level on points with, I think it's either Newcastle or Brighton. So they are getting back up to where I said they would be on your pod a couple of months back. I backed them to stay up. So yeah, Areola, very impressive, and I think I've got my work cut out here to persuade you to change your minds. I've gone with Edouard Mendy from Chelsea. For me, it's just because he hasn't really put a foot wrong. Obviously, he came in for Kepa, who's, very controversial. He's made quite a few mistakes, high-profile ones as well. But, he's been a commanding presence for Chelsea. I think overall his game, his distribution, his, shot-stopping for every keeper is important, but especially for him, it's been fantastic. So that's why I've gone with him. However, I don't think there's too much point in me going on and explaining why I've gone with Mendy, because I think it's pretty clear to see that we're going to have to go with Areola here. I think, Matt, you put an excellent point across, and so did you, Tom. And I'm more than happy to go with him because I've been very impressed with him this year, even though, again, like I said, Sam Johnston, another one that's been involved in a relegation-threatened team that has conceded loads of goals, but still probably got them to where they are now, on the cusp of safety. So yeah, Matt, as long as you're happy, we'll go with Areola. Yep. Excellent stuff. Right, we'll move on to the right back. I'll go first with this one. Reece James from Chelsea. For me, he's one of the most complete fullbacks in the Premier League, attacking and defensively, absolutely superb. Especially this last season, I've seen more of him. And for me, he's cemented my belief that he's maybe the best right back in the league. That's a bit of a statement. Obviously, we've talked about Cancelo already. I've said here, for me, he's better than Trent at the moment. But I've really been impressed with him. So that's why he gets in my team. I think, again, he's another one that provides attacking prowess down that right side for Chelsea. He's got a good cross on him, has a decent shot on him from time to time, and defensively doesn't really put a foot wrong for me. So Reece James is my right back. Matt, who have you gone with in the right back spot?
I've gone with a real left field one. Someone who hasn't really played much this season. It's Tariq Lamptey of Brighton. Someone I really, really like. He moved to Brighton last January, I think, and obviously we had the stop of games for a bit, but played a lot from then. I think played 9 games before at the end of last season, and then I think the first 10 or so this year. Just someone I really like. Technically very good on the ball, gets up and down, got good delivery, tenacious. Very, very small player, but I say has been really good. I don't know if you remember, we were actually there when he made his debut for Chelsea, when he came on at 1-0 down, and they turned the game around and beat us 2-1. And even there that day, I was surprised that he came on at first. I think he replaced a midfielder. I can't remember, maybe Kovacic, possibly.
You're right, yeah.
Or was it possibly Jorginho? Because Jorginho scored. So replaced Kovacic, and then was superb at right back then. And watched him ever since. He's certainly someone for me. If Arsenal Arsenal should be looking for a right back in the summer. He'd be someone definitely to look at.
Oh, definitely. From an Arsenal perspective, putting my Arsenal hat back on, I'd love to see him in ahead of someone like a Bellerin. Obviously, at the moment, last week we had Callum Chambers there. We've had Cedric Suarez there as well, came from Southampton. But Lamptey's a great option. And actually, I didn't think of him at first. So that's a good shout. Tom, who have you gone with in the right back position?
Gone for Kufal for West Ham. Again, been really impressed with West Ham. Again, like Villa, were down in relegation last year, and this year they're in a European battle. And I think players like Kufal coming in, he's been really solid defensively. He's a really good defensive right back, and also he offers some attacking threat, putting a few good crosses, got a couple of assists. And he's just been really impressive, and he's had a good. Obviously, him and Soucek both came from the same club, both same nationality, so they've both been good additions to West Ham squad, and just been impressed with West Ham as a whole, and with him. Been really good this year. Yeah,
definitely. I think West Ham haven't brought in too many big names, but what they have had, they've made good use of. I think Mikel Arteta could take a leaf out of David Moyes' book in terms of clever recruitment and actually working with the players he has and making them play in a way that probably suits them. You look at, obviously, you mentioned Kufal, and then people like Lingard, Soucek. Fantastic recruitment for them this year. 3 different players there. It's going to be a difficult one, this. I was going to say we have a Chelsea player, but we don't. We had Areola, so the floor's really open for this. I'm not sure what you boys think. Are you happy to stick with what you've gone for, or have you heard anything that could sway your opinion?
I think I'd have to say I was thinking with Lamptey. The only problem is, obviously, he's been injured for a long time. When he did play, he was impressive. But obviously he has been out for a while now. Reece James as well. Again, he's been really impressive. He's been mainly there at right back. Been swapped out a few times. It's just a hard one, really. I'm not sure. I'm not sure to go with, to be honest.
To be honest, for me, I think you've made a great point for the West Ham man. So I'm happy to go with him. If you are, Matt.
Yeah. To be fair, I was going to say, who is the best of the 3 footballer wise, and as a right back I would say Reece James, but before I had Lamptey I did have Kufal down on mine, so again I'm happy to go either or. I like you say, I think Reece James is someone who's really come on this year But again, Kufal, great signing. I think obviously they went back to Slavia Prague, or where they got Souček from, and no doubt we'll talk about him a bit later. You know, and he's done really well. So I'm happy to go with either of those two. Yes, Lamptey's been out for a while, so I think that probably discards him from our discussions.
Well, I built Reece James up as the guy who I think is the best right back in the league. So it's a difficult one for me. But if I've got to look at how well West Ham have done this year compared to what we expected, I think Kufal has been a major part of that down the right-hand side. So I think it would be a fair decision to put him in. So I'll go with him for this occasion. But obviously, Reece James a very close second in my opinion. Right, 2 centre-backs. Tom, I'll let you go first on this one.
So I've gone with Thiago Silva actually. So when he signed for Chelsea, obviously he's had a great career with PSG. But I was like, is he really going to be able to cope with all the pace in the Premier League? Isn't he getting a bit old and that? But he's come in under Lampard. He was the captain, obviously, as Aspilicueta wasn't playing. He's come in and he's really stepped up, and they've kept 9 or 10 clean sheets this season as well. And he's been really impressive. And obviously he's an experienced player, and he's still like, he's been tracking back. He's made some last ditch tackles. And he's still been like demanding that defence and helping them, and being a really good captain. And he's a perfect player to have as a captain. And he's done it in the Prem, which I didn't think he'd be able to at this age. So yeah, I've been really impressed with him and been a good leader.
Yep, Matt, who have you gone with?
I've gone with West Ham's Craig Dawson.
Right, okay.
He's actually on loan from Watford, which is even more bizarre. Because he was signed at a Championship club. He's now at a team that are fighting for Champions League. So there's football for you. But yeah, look, he signed, I think, relatively close to the deadline. Didn't make his debut till after Christmas, but has come in the team and been really solid. He's a massive aerial threat in both boxes at clearing and scoring. I think he's got three-headed goals. Certainly not the most cultured centre back, but you know, he's massively doing a job for West Ham, and I really like him. I like the no nonsense of him. He puts his head on every ball. You know, again, another one who I look at his career, and he spent a lot of time spent some time in the lower leagues, and then obviously had a long time at West Brom, but spent loans at clubs like Rochdale, and now he's doing it at the top of the Prem. So yeah, a little bit left field, but someone certainly to consider.
Yeah, definitely. I think Craig Dawson is a good shout, actually. I've gone with Lewis Dunk, leader at the back for Brighton, a real staple of that Brighton team in the Premier League era. Great with the ball at his feet, defensively superb, and he also chips in with the occasional goal for Brighton. I think potentially he could be going to the Euros as a backup. I'm not sure. I don't think he'd get into that starting team. But yeah, for me, Lewis Dunk. I think Thiago Silva is a good shout from you though, Tom, because again, I did not expect him to come in and have that much of an impact on Chelsea. With the age he is, I suppose, and the fact that he does lack pace and everything. I think one of the things he said after the first few months was he didn't expect to be heading the amount of balls that he has been. So that's real testament to this league in terms of having that striker, I suppose, the target man. So yeah, I'm happy to go with Thiago Silva if everyone else is. I think for me, he's better than my nomination, Dunk, and I'm happy to say that. I'm not sure what you think, Matt.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think he's been excellent, bar his debut against West Brom, where they were 3-0 down and he got subbed at half time. But yeah, he has done really well. And like you said, to make that decision at 36 to move to a new league and put your reputation on the line, because he has a very good reputation and he's won a lot in his career, to come over here, and he's done really well. And I think Alf Lewis Dunk last season, yes, definitely. This season, maybe not so much. For me personally, I think he probably hasn't had as good a season as he did last year. But yeah, happy to go with Thiago Silva.
Yep, I think that's fair enough. I think Brighton have struggled a bit more this year than they maybe did last year. So I can understand that. So second centre-back. Matt, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, I've gone with another lesser club, should I say, and I've gone with Yannick Vestergaard at Southampton. A defender I really like, and I look at someone like a Lamptey, and I'm looking at these players, and I'm looking at them on I think, well, can Arsenal look at getting someone like this or whatnot? Really good size and a reader of the game. I like him. I think he's good on the ball. You mightn't question his involvement in a couple of heavy defeats. That's probably going to go against him a little bit. But I certainly believe he's someone who could play. It's definitely a higher at a bigger, maybe, and a better club. So someone I really like. I'm not going to say he's Van Dijk but he is obviously the replacement that they sort of wanted to bring in when they lost Van Dijk to Liverpool. I think he brings that stature, that size, chips in with some goals as well. And someone I like. But again, going to look at a couple of results where they've conceded heavily and look at him in the back four there.
Yeah, I know for a while you've been a fan of Vestergaard, and to be honest, I've watched him of recent months, and bar that obviously 9-0 battering at the hands of Man United, I think he's been solid. He's been pretty solid for the last couple of years, really, and rightly said he deserves your nomination there. So I've gone with Toby Alderweireld from Spurs. He's been there, I think he joined at the start of the 2015-16 season. So that's quite a long time. 7 clean sheets this year. I think he's one of the best centre backs in the Premier League in terms of longevity, especially his partnership with Vertonghen for a while. That was for me one of the best anyway. So in that successful time under Pochettino from sort of 2016 to 2019, culminating in that Champions League final. For me, I don't like to say it too much, but he's probably one of the best. So that's why I've got him in there. Tom, who have you gone with?
Just like to say quickly with your pick, with Verald, I would have had him in my team as well for this pick, but I would have had too many Spurs players, so right. I couldn't put him in. But definitely a good pick. Both your picks there. I've gone with a bit off the radar player. I couldn't really think of one, but I've gone with Anderson for Fulham. Again, another Fulham defender. A part of the reason is he's coming as captain on loan, which I was surprised making captain, but he's led that defence. He missed the first 7 games, I think, and I think they only picked up 1 point or something. And since he's come in, again, they kept 9 clean sheets, and he's been so good. Obviously against Liverpool as well, putting a man of the match performance, and that's been the same most games, and he's just been really impressive. And I think Fulham have done well with the players they signed on loan. So yeah, again, I think another good player this season.
Yeah, for me, another one I've been watching of recent weeks, and again, that performance against Liverpool away, him and Adebayo at the back were fantastic for Fulham. So I definitely think he deserves a nomination. I'm not too sure who to go with here. I am obviously. You said that you would have gone with Alderweireld had you had the space for an extra Tottenham player. If we're saying that, then we're saying 2 for Alderweireld. But obviously, again, Matt, with yours, I think that's another good shout in Vestergaard. So I'm sort of on the fence here. I think I'm a big fan of Vestergaard. But again, I'm a big fan of, I'm not a big fan of him, but I think Alderweireld's a decent player. So it's a difficult one. God. I'm going to go with Vestergaard and make it 2-1.
Yeah, I'll go Vestergaard.
Yeah, clean sweep then. For me, he's been fantastic recently. And Matt, you make a great point about him sort of not comparing him to Van Dijk, but definitely filling in that sort of role that was left absent for him when he did leave. So yeah, Vestergaard is the second centre-back in the team. Right, moving on to the left-back. I'll tell you what, I'll go first with this one. For me, Kieran Tierney of Arsenal. Again, another complete fullback, just like my pick with Reece James. He's fantastic going forward. We've seen that this year when he hasn't been in the Arsenal team. They've really struggled down that left-hand side, and they've utilised a few different players there that probably haven't had the desired effect. I can think of Cedric, who's played left-back a few times, and obviously the attacking threat was really easy to spot when it was missing. So another, he's a crucial part of that attacking threat for Arsenal, and defensively solid. Can't really put a foot wrong. And again, probably one of the only players for me during that sticky patch for Arsenal from sort of, I think it was the end of October through to Boxing Day when they beat Chelsea 3-1 at home. He was the only player really that sort of upheld those standards that we know of Arsenal. So that is why he deserves a spot in the team, I think. Tom, we'll go with who you've gone for the left back.
I've gone for Cresswell. Again, what a season he's having. He started off left centre back in a 5 at the back. And then Masuaku got injured and he's moved to left back with the 4 at the back. 10 assists, 10 clean sheets. His delivery has been superb. His corners as well. Obviously, he's whipping balls into Dawson, likes of Dawson and Soucek at corners. So you'd expect a few assists. But defensively and attacking wise, he's been really, really solid, really good. And obviously, he's part of the reason why West Ham are where they are in the league.
Yep, fair enough. I think that's a good shout, to be honest. Cresswell been very impressive. I think maybe if it wasn't for Luke Shaw, and obviously Chilwell, who's been out of the team recently, I think he could have definitely had a look in at maybe starting at the Euros. But yeah, I've been very impressed with him. As you said there, 10 assists. I didn't expect that. I didn't know that this year. So fair play to Cresswell. Matt, who have you gone with in the left back spot?
Well, how do you get as many Arsenal players in this team when they're not very good? But I've gone with the same with you, Alf. I've gone with Kieran Tierney because I look at players and when they come out the team, what difference is there? And I think he is the one that if you take him out of the team, you realise what he brings to the team. For me, he's everything you want as a fullback, defensively sound, good in 1v1s. If Arsenal had another 3 defenders like that, they'd have a good defence, Going forward, he offers a lot. Everything Arsenal do well comes down that left-hand side. Even thinking to the game last night, could have had an assist after 2 minutes if we can be more clinical. The combinations that allow him to get into that final third and deliver balls, he certainly hasn't got the returning assists that he should have. But yeah, I think someone who, again, having lots of niggles and being in and out of the team, it's been frustrating. But when he's in and he's on full flow, he's superb, and his delivery in the final third is fantastic.
Yeah, Kieran Tierney, for me, wins it hands down. Cresswell was a good shout, but Tierney, we're 2 Arsenal fans against a Spurs fan. I think we're going to go with Tierney for this one. Right. So we move on to the 3 central midfielders. Tom, I'll let you go first with your pick.
Right, I'll start with Soucek. Soucek, however you say his name. Again, been class this season. Chipping in with the goals, and his partnership with Declan Rice as probably 2 of the best partnership in midfield in the league at the moment. And they've been so solid, and you see they take turns of going forward. Everyone it makes them so solid, and it gives opportunity for Cresswell, Kufel to bomb down the wings, and it's just helped their defence so much. He's been a good guy to listen to in interviews as well. Seems like a nice guy, and yeah, he's been so impressive, and he's chipped in a lot with the goals, like I said, and defensively and attacking wise, yeah, very good. Very
I seem to remember he particularly enjoys his potato salad. I've seen that. So yeah, what a good lad. It's nice to see maybe an unorthodox signing coming into the Premier League doing well. And I've also gone with him, Soucek. So fair play. I think this year he's been everything that's been right about West Ham. Defensively sound, a calming presence in the midfield, and again his flying headers have been fantastic to watch. So you put that with his ability to put in a decent tackle in midfield. I think he's had a fantastic year. So for me, a no-brainer in the West Ham team and in my team as well. Matt, I think you'll do well to throw us off the scent of Soucek.
No, I'm going to join you. 3 out of 3. Yeah, he's West Ham's standout player for me. I think we've all spoken about going forward and highlighting the attacking threat that he gives, but actually I think Tom mentioned it, just a solid base in midfield with Declan Rice, and that's been massive for them. So as much as, he has got on the end of a lot of crosses and scored a lot of goals, the other work he does, doesn't go unnoticed. And really a really, really good signing. I know they had him on loan and made him permanent. It's been great for West Ham. So yeah, clean sweep, he gets in.
Yep, probably one of the easiest ones for me to have in on this team. Right, second midfielder. I'll go first on this. Brighton player, Yves Bissouma. I think it was between him and Partey for me. I did put Partey originally, and I swayed away from that because actually Bissouma's probably edged it for me this year in terms of staying away from injuries as well. He's been fantastic in midfield for Brighton. I think he'll be at a bigger club next year for sure. Probably one of those top six. Will look to snap him up because I do think he really has been that good. Composed on the ball. I think he's a player you'd want in front of you as a centre back. I look at players like him, Partey, and DD of Leicester as well. There's very similar sort of players just in front of that back line. Fantastic on the ball. And I think we've all seen he's had a decent shot on him. I think he scored a cracking goal, and it might have been the Carabao Cup or FA Cup, right in the top bin. So yeah, Bissouma gets in the team for me. Tom, who have you gone with?
This was the first name on my list when you asked me to make these two teams. Højbjerg. What a signing he's been. I think you can't have a team without him. He's come into that Spurs team. Obviously, for years, been trying to find players to replace Moussa Dembele. I think he's a little bit of a different player, more defensively sound, but he does the dirty work amazing. He's played every minute in the Premier League. I can't remember him making a wrong decision. He's not afraid to go into a tackle. His passing's good as well. We saw a good assist for Kane in West Brom, and he's just been so solid defensively. And he gives the likes of Ndombele to play in midfield with him, and then Ndombele can bomb forward because you've got Højbjerg there. So good, and a really underrated player, I think. And what a signing Spurs got him from Southampton for so cheap. Yeah, very impressed with him, and I think he's been one of my favourite players of the season.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on in terms of being underrated. At Southampton, I watched bits of him. I wasn't too impressed with him. I thought he was decent on the ball. Obviously, he was captain at Southampton, and he's coming at Tottenham, and he's been very impressive. So yeah, fair play, good shout in Højbjerg. Matt, who have you gone for?
Well, I've gone with someone who probably won't get in the team because he hasn't played a lot of games, and that's Thomas Partey. And that is just on the fact that Arsenal have been crying out for 20 years for someone to come in. No, maybe not 20, maybe 15 years to come in and replace Patrick Vieira, be that midfield player who's going to be a general in the team and, be comfortable in the possession, smell the danger, be able to regain possession, be a tough tackler, all those things that he is. But, and actually he can do more than that. So have we seen the best of him? Definitely not. Hopefully he'll have a run in the team now between now and the end of the season, but certainly looking ahead to next season as him being someone who's going to be a massive part for Arsenal and whatever they go on to achieve or not achieve under Mikel Arteta. So I think for Arsenal to get the player in the summer, because I think he was quite sought after, and obviously I think he had a bit of convincing to come to Arsenal. I think that was a massive transfer, and like I said, he hasn't maybe played the games that everyone would have wanted him to, but when he does play, I think away at Man United, he was outstanding in a 1-0 win. He was pretty good at Burnley at the weekend, and actually he started off for the goal. Probably won't make the team because again he hasn't probably played enough football so far. Maybe if we're looking this in another 6 weeks, he may have played enough games. But yeah, Thomas Partey been superb when I've seen him.
Yep, for me he would be in there, barring obviously the injuries, and that is the only thing that really throws me off. I think when he does play, he's been fantastic. And as Arsenal fans, I think you'd agree with me when I say he's a sort of player you want to be bringing in and want to be building, not actually bringing in those players that maybe are past it. I look at players like Willian is a prime example this year, but actually building for the future and actually building the solid foundational blocks that then we can build on and go forward. So last midfielder, actually, no, we haven't decided. I think we'll go with, it's a tough one. Partey for me, like I said, would have got in, but no, probably not. Tom, have you been swayed or changed your mind or anything?
No, I'm not going to be on this position. No.
Okay, well, I'm happy to join you with Højbjerg. Well, I'm not happy to join you, but I think we'll go with it. If that's all right with you, Matt.
Basuma's my favourite player of all time, so we can't leave him out.
Right. Okay, Højbjerg is in there. But Basuma's had a decent season. That's the only reason I'm saying. But again, Højbjerg's been very impressive, so I think he deserves it. Final midfielder. I'll go first on this. Again, Mason Mount. He's had a great couple of years with Chelsea. Obviously had that transfer ban when Lampard first came in. So 2019-20 for him was a very good season. Under Lampard, like I say, he was a standout player. Again, another one that Southgate likes as well. Tuchel come in and he was out of the team maybe for a couple of games. He's got back in and he's really showed us that it's not just Lampard or Southgate, but he can do it under anyone. I think he's very valuable for Chelsea in terms of assists and goals for them. So Mason Mount definitely deserves a spot in this team, in my opinion. Tom, who have you gone with?
Mason Mount as well. Again, been really impressed with him under Lampard, under Southgate, and under Tuchel as well. And he's been consistent this year. Obviously, when Chelsea weren't playing great, when Lampard got the sack, he was still their best player, probably playing really well, and he got rewarded with the captain for one game. Yeah, great talent, and will be great for the Euros, I think. But yeah, I think definitely has to be a Mason Mount.
Definitely for me. Matt, who have you gone with?
Yeah, I've gone with Lampard's love child as well. That's not fair, is it? That's not fair. No, to be fair, he has done well. You'd have wondered in the summer when they brought in the likes of Kai Havertz, is Mason Mount going to miss out? But, he's less of a 10, more of a number 8 now. And, he's been really good for Chelsea. And like you said, really good for England as well. So, yep, I think he gets him.
Yep, fair point. And he's locked in, Mason Mount. So, front three. We'll start with the left wing again. Matt, do you want to go first on your left winger?
Yeah, and it pains me to say it, but it's going to be Heung-min Son. How can you argue with that? He started the season in great form, plenty of goals, plenty of assists. Tom's mentioned already the relationship with him and Harry Kane. I think the thing for me with Son is when he gets in front of goal, you just don't. He's not going to miss, or you don't believe he's going to miss. Clinical. It pains me to say it. It was I know they bought him from Leverkusen, and he wasn't. He was known of, but he wasn't known of as being the player he is now. So a shrewd bit of business. And to say the partnership with Harry Kane has been fantastic for them, not for me.
Well, not for me either. But yeah, I think I'll move on and say Son as well. That's my player. I think you've hit the nail on the head when you say you watch him and you feel like he's going to score every shot, because most of the time he does, and that's exactly how I feel. Maybe that's just because I'm an Arsenal fan looking in, and I don't want him to score, and he seems to score most of the time. But he's been fantastic this year, especially those first few months of the season with Harry Kane. It's just been a joke, really. Maybe moving away to a slightly bigger club will benefit his career. I'm not sure what you think about that, Tom. I'm sure you've gone with Son now. I'm not sure though. Who have you gone with?
Yeah, Son, of course. Like you two have summed it up. He's just been so good this year. Like you said, he doesn't get loads of chances, but he never misses really. And he's just been so good, that partnership with Kane. So yeah, definitely him. Glad you two agreed.
Well, I'm not glad I agree, but I think it's probably one of the most obvious ones again today for me. So we'll move on to the right wing spot. Tom, I'll let you go first on this one.
All right. Well, I don't think I'll be winning this one, but I've gone with Minamino. Now, obviously, he's only started playing since he's come in, and again, I struggled with this pick, and but since he's come in for Southampton, he's been really good, and he's shown his quality that he had from Salzburg. Obviously, he scored a important goal against Chelsea. Southampton have been on a bad run, but he's been one of their standout players. So he hasn't played loads this season. I think when he's actually been given the chance to play some football, he has played well, and he's been impressive.
Yeah, good shout. I think an interesting one, because again, obviously, he's only joined Southampton in January. He's been all right. I don't think he's been headline grabbing. And again, that's why I think the guy that I think me and Matt have both gone with would probably get in ahead of him. Bukayo Saka, best teenager in the league for me by a mile. And don't get it confused, Foden isn't a teenager anymore, so I think he's definitely still the best. Goals, assists, he's been fantastic the last couple of years. Obviously, he started on the left. He's played left back, left wing, sort of across the front three, in sort of an attacking midfield position. More recently, been on the right as well, so cutting in, having shots. His right foot's getting better in terms of crossing. Technically on the ball, he's superb, and it's nice to see finally a bit of talent coming through at Arsenal in terms of Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, all those players. So yeah, for me, Saka gets in a right wing hands down for me. I'm not sure what you think, Matt, but I think you agree.
Yeah, I think you read my notes, didn't you? But yeah, I mean, all I can add on that one is it's a sorry state of affairs when Arsenal are relying on a young player like that to get them out of trouble. But to be fair, he often delivers. Even recently in the Benfica game, where I know he didn't score the goal, but he comes up with a great bit of play to get the goal, which ultimately gets Arsenal through. I think possibly what we're seeing from him at the minute is a player who's starting to tire, a young player who's played lots and lots of football, which has been made even more a problem where we're playing, 2 games a week every week throughout the season, which is obviously not a normal thing. And I'm seeing a little bit signs of him last night where the quality is still there, but you can see signs that he's probably tiring a little bit, which hopefully isn't the case. But at the minute, I don't think Arteta can really leave him out. And I don't think we can really leave him out of this team either.
No. I think all I'd say about that is if you're good enough, you're old enough. Obviously, it's a fair point you make about Arsenal relying on such a young player. But from what I've seen of him, he's an old head on young shoulders, really. So fair play to Saka. And I think, Tom, it's fair enough that we'll include Saka over Minamino.
Yeah.
So he's in there. Right, last pick of the episode, which is the striker for the South team. I'll start this one, and unfortunately, I've got to go with, for me, one of the best strikers in world football at the moment, and it really does pain me to say it is a struggle. I've got to be honest. Harry Kane. His consistency is just ridiculous. He scores all types of goals. He gets loads of assists. Against Burnley, he got 2 goals and 2 assists or something like that. His range of passing as well is something that maybe is underestimated. It's absolutely fantastic. He's almost like a number 10 in that position, feeding in the front three. This year, Tottenham obviously had Son, Lucas Moura, Bergwijn running in behind. So yeah, easily the best striker in the Premier League. And his link-up play with Son, like we've touched on, has been impressive this year. So yeah, Harry Kane unfortunately gets in the team for me. Tom, I'm guessing you've got the same.
Yeah, of course, has to be Harry Kane. I think, like you were saying, he's been so good this season, best striker in the world. The only worry is like we've seen when he hasn't been playing for Spurs, how much they have struggled. So I think we do need to win some silverware to keep him at the club. But yeah, he's been so good this season, and he'll be great to captain England in the Euros in the summer.
Definitely. I think we had Sam on last week. He's obviously another Spurs fan, and that's a big worry that if you don't win something this year, he might actually find some ambition and move away. Matt, who have you gone with at striker?
Well, I have gone with Kane, but I think we need to have a minute silent for Robert Lewandowski, who's obviously passed away recently. Now Harry Kane's the best striker in the world, so no, I've gone for Kane. Look, I say he's clinical finisher. Does it again and again. I think Tom will know more than me, but I think not necessarily many Spurs players that Mourinho has made better. But I think with Harry Kane, I think he has, because I think he's changed his game up this year. He's played a slightly deeper role, allowing him to create all those the assists he's getting for Son. Like we said, his range of passing is unbelievable. He's not just a goal scorer; he's got a lot more to his game than that. So yeah, Harry Kane, he's in.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm glad you said Lewandowski. I was about to mention him, but it did slip my mind. So Lewandowski for me is still the best in the world, but Kane, definitely a close second. So that's all our players decided. I'll run you through the teams again on the North side. So we've got Martinez in goal, Justin at right back, Diaz, Mings, the two centre backs, and Luca Dean at left back. 3 centre mids, De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, and Gundogan, and then the front 3, left wing Grealish, right wing Salah, striker Calvert-Lewin. The South, goalkeeper Areola, right back Kufau, 2 centre backs Thiago Silva and Vestergaard, left back Kieran Tierney, 3 centre mids of Soucek, Højbjerg, and Mount, left wing Son, right wing Saka, and striker Kane. I think that would be a fantastic match. And actually, something that I was going to add to the Instagram is, if you guys did want to see this match played out on FIFA or Football Manager or whatever, I'm sure we could get that arranged. And I think it'd be an interesting one to see who wins, because at the end of the day, I think it'd be a very good match. I think it'd be very tight. There's not much really to split them. I look at the front 3, Son, Saka, Kane, compare it to Grealish, Salah, Calvert-Lewin. On their days, fantastic. I think it'd be a very interesting one. So if you guys do want to see that, I'll put a poll up later on Instagram. You can just vote yes or no, and we'll get that done, ready for next week. But Tom, it's been great to have you on, mate. Obviously, I've featured 3 times now on your podcast on FPL, and this is your first time on our podcast. I'm sure we'll get you on again at some point. But yeah, it's been good to have you on, mate.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, thank you, you two, and I've really enjoyed it today. It's a good discussions and some good picks. I think we built 2 really good teams there. Yeah,
definitely. And like I said, it'd be interesting to see who wins out of these 2 teams. But yeah, go and check out Tom's podcast. He hosts that alongside Chris, FPL Apprentices. It's been running for quite a while now, longer than this one. So yeah, go and check that out. Again, Matt, as ever, it's been a pleasure. I think we've had a really good debate today and a good discussion. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been a good one. So that's pretty much all we've got time for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to check out the Instagrams and Twitters at WAMTG Pod. That's about it. Cheers, guys. Keep talking football.